Welcome back to the course on human resources management. Today we will talk about compensation. We've talked about a whole bunch of things earlier. Today we will start with the issue of compensation. How do you decide salaries? How do you decide what to give your employees in return for the time, effort, energy they put in to their work? So, very important topic. Please note down your queries, and maybe one of these days I'll come online, I'll come live, and we can have a discussion if you have any questions. So let's go to the sources that I have referred to. I've referred to these two books, Managing Human Resources, Productivity, Quality of Life, Profits by Cascio, and I've also referred to this textbook, a book that's being used as a textbook in many places including ours. This is a book called Managing Human Resources by Gomez Mejia, Balkin and Cardy. I have the 7th edition, which was published in 2012. If you have a later edition, that will also be helpful. So just take whichever is there, but this is just for your reference. What is compensation? Let's first deal with some of the basic terms. We come across these terms every day, but let's see what these terms are and what they mean. The first term we'll talk about is total compensation. Now, total compensation refers to the base compensation plus your salary or pay incentives plus your benefits. Those of you who work in the government sector will know the concept of basic pay. We've all heard about this term called basic pay, and anything additional to that is a percentage of that. Now, in some government organizations, we also have the concept of grade pay, and that is based on slabs of basic pay. And then we have, but otherwise things like your house rent allowance, your travel allowance, your telephone allowance, all of these are a percentage of your base pay. Sometimes it's a percentage. House rent allowance typically is a percentage of your basic pay, and it varies from the city from city to city depending on depending on how expensive that city is. So, for example, the house rent allowance in a very expensive city like Delhi or Bombay would be, or maybe even Bangalore, would be much higher than the house rent allowance for a small town like Kharagpur or maybe Purulia in West Bengal, or in Himachal Pradesh we have towns like Dharamshala or Hamirpur or Bilaspur, I mean some such place. So, it is these are the added benefits, but basic pay is the basic salary on which everything else is calculated. The second term here is called pay incentives. Pay incentives are programs designed to reward employees for good performance. So, for example, you do something, I mean these things are defined earlier, and say in academics, in the senior institutes of higher education like IITs, of course IIT Kharagpur we don't have any such plan yet, but in IIMs I've heard, I'm not very sure, that if you publish in a good journal like Harvard Business Review or Sloan Management Review or any such top rated journal in the world, then you are given an additional lump sum of money as a reward for your exceptional performance. So, or some organizations, I believe in the pharmaceutical industry and even in the travel industry, they'll give you a package. So, this is a pay incentive. So, they'll allot a certain sum of money for any additional sales that you have made, any additional clients you brought for the organization, maybe a percentage of that will go to you. So, all of these are the pay incentives. These are calculated as a percentage of your basic pay, and these are programs that are specifically designed to reward the employees that perform better than their peers. The third one here is benefits or indirect compensation. These are the additional programs that are developed to enhance the level of comfort of the employee in the non-work aspect of life. Now, this is a term, this is a description that I have come up with myself, and when you look at this, benefits are additionally things that make your life outside of work more comfortable. So, they include health insurance, they include what we have, we have something called as LTC, leave travel concession in government services. So, these are also called, these are the additional things that make that enhance your comfort levels as an employee of an organization. Because let's go back to what we talked about in the first few lectures, which is a human being in an organization is not only a source of output. A human being is a human being also. I am a person, I have a family, I have connections, I have health needs, I have I need to sleep every night, I need to rest after a certain amount of work is done, so I need to have my vacation, so all of these things are a part of our lives, of our association with the organization. And when the organization takes us in, then we are they try and look after us, they compensate for the work we do, and they also try and look after the non-work side of their employees just to make them more comfortable. So you have creches, you have schools, you have there's big halla gulla going on, there's big hullabaloo about the management quota of schools in Delhi, which is probably being misused. And so all of these are just incentives that if you are a part of an organization, you will get something a little extra to take care of you. So that helps you look after your other non-work needs and the needs of your family. Now there's something else in this that are called perk visits, or commonly known as perks, that are available to employees with some special status in the organization, and this is directly related to this management quota business. So if you are part of the governing body of the school, for example, your child or somebody known to you or somebody who you have a personal interest in could get in without sitting through, without competing with the rest of the crowd. So you would have a little handle there, you would have some special reservation. They would say, okay, so because you're doing so much of work for the organization, we will let you have this benefit from the organization. For example, in the service industry, for example, if you are working in a hotel, you may be allowed a certain number of lunches or dinners, some number of meals free of cost in the hotel, or you may be allowed to stay in the hotel for a certain number of days in a year. Or if you're in the travel industry, you may get a certain number of passes or tickets to travel free of cost, say in the airlines or railways. So all of these are called perk visits. Because you have a certain special status in the organization, you're an employee, you get things that others who are not in the same position as you do not get. So these are the perks or perk visits. Okay. How do you design a compensation system? There are some challenges when we think about designing a system to compensate our employees for the work they do. There are some challenges associated with this. Now these challenges are, we want to give our employees the best so that they can give us their best output. We want to take care of them really well so that they feel comfortable being a part of the organization, and they respond in return. They respond to our taking care of them by doing excellent work, which in turn benefits our organization, so we can give them more benefits. So it's a cycle. You treat them well, they want to work with you, they want to stay with you, they give you their best output, that adds to the value your organization generates for its clients, that brings in more revenue. You share those revenues with your employees, and they in turn feel grateful, or they in turn feel satisfied that they have done good work, so they've been compensated, so their commitment increases. So we want to give our employees the best. We want to have a base salary, we want to give them benefits, whatever we can afford. We want to take care of their families, their children. These conglomerates like Tatas, for example, they have their communities, or you have these industrial townships that have their communities in different places, and they have their own school, their own hospital, their own club, their own community system. We have this thing even in the armed forces or in the Indian Railways, for example, the civil services. So paramilitary forces, we have our own clubs, and so these things just enhance the your bonding with the organization. So when we want to give people so many things, it becomes very complicated, and we want to give them a wide variety of pay incentives and benefits, and that becomes really complicated. So we also want to align these incentive systems with the strategic mission, strategic objectives of the organization, so that we don't go overboard with provision of these things. So yes, we want to compensate our employees, but we also want to make money. We also want to make profits. We are all hedonistic creatures. Organizations, when considered as individual entities, are also hedonistic. By hedonistic, I mean self-servicing, not self-centered, but units that take care of their own selves before they take care of somebody else. So we are all hedonistic, and we are trying to take care of ourselves. So we must align whatever we do with the strategic objectives of our organization, and that becomes difficult if we want to provide a wide variety of things. For example, there is a training paradox that we talked about in one of the earlier lectures, that we train our employees, especially those that are really bright, that enjoy challenge. So we train these employees and they take that challenge, and then they become employable by our competitors. So where do we draw the line? So to ensure that we get the benefit out of their training as organizations, we have them sign a bond. We say, okay, you can go, you can get an MBA, we'll give you so much money for your fees. You go, you earn your MBA, you perform well, but after you get your degree, you either pay the money back. If you want to leave the organization, you pay the money back, or you work with us for 5 years. So the profits that are generated by the good work that you do, in turn compensate for the money we have spent on your education. It's as simple as that. It's just a plus minus game. Okay, so we need to align whatever we do with the strategic objectives of the organization. The other challenge of offering a wide variety of pay policies and procedures is they need to be rooted in and adapted to the firm's unique characteristics and environment. Now let's see, when we talk about oil and natural gas companies, organizations that deal with oil and natural gas, or mining activities, or manufacturing sector where their setups are away from cities, they have unique needs. Their employees have unique needs. Now miners, for example, people who actually go into the mines develop lung problems because the gases are toxic. The gases emanating from the mines are toxic. When there's drilling going on, all of this, the dust that comes in gets into your lungs and really damages your health. So they need to have a dispensary that or a hospital that specializes in dealing with respiratory disorders, for example. So their needs are very specific. So whatever we give to these people has to be in line with the environment that they are supposed to work in. We need to give people, now of course it's mandatory to wear hard hats and to give health benefits to people working in these organizations, but we also want to take care of them. So maybe we'll spend more on health in a minor if we are a mining organization, we may end up spending much more on health than on, say, compensating people for their vacations. We may not give them a vacation benefit, but we will definitely compensate them for health problems. And so we will also because these setups are away from main cities, we will also ensure that good schools are available for their children. We may also ensure that their spouses have a place to work, because these people will, again, the people who come there, unless we can have a couples plan, we may not want to bring them to the organization, or if they come, we need to ensure that their spouses have something else to do so that they decide to stay with us. I've seen this in the armed forces. I'm not too sure about other colonies, but I think it exists in the armed forces specifically, the wives of the officers are, if qualified, if found qualified, they are preferred as teachers in the central schools located in these armed forces setups, for the simple reason that they need something to do, they are easily available, and so it's easy to hire them, provided they qualify on all other grounds. So again, this is an unwritten rule not to be quoted, but it's public information, so I'm sharing it with you on this portal. Anyway, so we have to develop our incentive systems so that the organization, they serve the needs of the organization and the needs of the people working in the organization. Okay. Now, how do we assess equity? What is equity? Let's first discuss that. Equity means a sense of fairness. Equity means being fair to people. Equity means I feel that the input that I get from my organization is equal to or is fair in terms of the work I do. Okay. So, various types of equity. We have internal equity. Internal equity is assessed in terms of the relative worth of individual jobs to an organization and is assessed in terms of whether pay rates are fair. Internal equity in very simple terms means that if at a certain level of in the job, or if my output is say A in one organization, another person with the same qualifications and training as me having the same output should have more or less the same salary and benefits. That is called internal equity. I am an assistant professor here, I get X amount of salary. Another assistant professor who joined at the same time as me, doing the same kind of work as me, I feel that this person should get X amount of salary, X amount of benefits, just what I get. If this person earns lesser than me, then I will feel uncomfortable. If this person earns more than me, then again I will feel uncomfortable. So, that is internal equity. We compare ourselves to our peers who have the same kind of characteristics, job related skills and output as we do. Excuse me. The next is external equity. External equity refers to the sense of fairness in terms of competitive market rates outside the organization. Again, I will take the example of us academicians. I will not only compare my salary and benefits with my peers in the same organization, I will also compare my salary and benefits with my peers in another similar organization. I may decide to check with my peers, with other assistant professors in other IITs to see how much salary they are getting. I will say I joined in the year X, this is my salary, these are the perks I get, these are the benefits I get, these are the incentives I get, what do you get? We graduated with the same degree, in the same year we have been employed by a comparable organization, what do you get, how much work do you do and what you get? And then I will decide whether I am being paid fairly or not. And this is why a lot of halla gulla takes place, when we go out, a lot of people say, okay, so and so organization is getting, employees of so and so organization are getting this, why are we not getting it? So, that is what this is. Okay. Individual equity relates to whether each individual's pay is fair relative to that of other individuals doing the same or similar jobs. Now, individual equity is maybe in terms of internal or external equity. So, these are just some terms that we will deal with. Fair pay, when we talk about fair pay is equity is the assessment. Fair pay is my understanding, my satisfaction that whatever I am getting is whatever I am worth. Okay. Pay that employees generally view as equitable. These terms are interrelated. How do you determine equitable pay for work? Each individual assumes that a fair return, they should get a fair return for what they contribute to their jobs. Okay. we should, if I put in a certain number of hours, if my output is a certain amount, then I should get X amount of pay. That is my understanding of equitable pay for work. Okay. All include the concept of social comparison, where employees determine what their equitable return should be after comparing their inputs and outputs with those of their peers and co-workers. So, I not only have my own standards for assessing what is fair for me, I also compare myself with my peers and co-workers. This is just similar, I mean it's almost a repetition of what I just told you. The theories assume that employees who perceive themselves to be in an equitable situation will seek to reduce that inequity. This is the principle of distributive justice. We will talk about it in a little while, but we assume that if I feel that I am either getting paid more for the work that I put in or less for the work that I put in, I will do something at my end to balance that. So, if I get paid more, then I may decide to start working less. I will say, okay, I will do the bare minimum. I may not, but then that is our inherent feeling. Why should I work so much when I will still get the same pay? The incremental, the difference between what I will get if I do the bare minimum and what I will get if I do a little extra or a lot extra is not very much, or there is no difference. So, I should not work more. So, I will cut down on my work. Or if my pay is less as compared to the others, then I will find out what more I need to do in order to do the same amount of, or to get the same amount of salary as my peers. So, I find out these things and then I adjust my working style accordingly. Sorry about that repetition. Okay. Criteria for developing a compensation plan. How do we develop a compensation plan? We have internal and external equity, we have fixed and variable pay. We have various ways in which we develop a compensation plan. We find out whether we are getting whether we want to establish internal and external equity, whether we want to, how we want to balance the notion of equity, what we should do so that our employees feel that they are being treated fairly. We also want to find out how much of fixed pay we want to give them and how much of variable pay we want to give them. So, will the compensation be paid monthly, or will it fluctuate on things, pre-established criteria such as performance and company profits? Are we going to give them commissions on the number of clients they bring in? So, we need to decide on these things. Okay. So, we need to keep all these factors into account. Okay. Then we have performance versus membership. Will the progression occur as a result of the stage of the organization they are in, or will it occur because of the performance? So, if you achieve a certain number of things, you will get this much pay, or you have spent so many years in the organization, you get your promotion, you move ahead and your salary automatically increases. Okay. So, that is another issue. The other is job versus individual pay. Will compensation be based on how the company values a particular job, or will it be based on how much skill and knowledge an employee brings to that job? Now, when we talk about job related pay, we say, okay, this particular activity is very important for the organization. So, anyone who is able to do this will get a higher pay than the others. The other way of assessing things is anyone who performs better than his or her peers, or who has a better skill set than his or her peers, will get a higher salary. So, one is the relative importance of the job, the other is the relative importance of the skill set the person brings. What do I have? My ability to contribute to the organization is what determines my salary. The other one is egalitarianism versus elitism. Will the compensation plan place most employees under the same compensation system? Will everybody get compensated in the exact same way, or will it establish different plans by organizational level and or employee group? So, you will have a different pay scale for different groups of people. People coming from this region will get a higher pay, people doing this work will get a higher pay, people doing this work will not get so much of money. So, how will you decide? You have to decide where you draw these levels, how you calculate these levels, what do you do, and how you communicate all of this to your employees. That is the biggest challenge. You know, equity is about, it's not about the sense of fairness an organization has. Equity is the sense of fairness employees have as regards the treatment of their work by their organization. So, that is what we need to be careful about. Then we also need to decide whether our employees will be compensated at the market price, or whether they will be compensated at whether we will give them less money than what our competitors are giving them because we can afford to do so, or we will give them more money than our competitors are giving them. Again, I will take an example that may not appeal to a lot of people, but anyway, even if IIT paid us less salaries, many of us would still stay here. The amount of money we get as salaries through the IIT system does not compare with the market rate for people with the same skill set as ours, people with the same kind of output as ours. Okay, honest input, everybody knows this, but many of us, I think most of us are here because of the large number of opportunities we get. This is not a salary based choice. I am here because of the freedom of thought I get. Okay. So, even if IIT decides, and again, you know, I do not want this to start a wave out there, but still we already know that we are not getting as much salary as our peers in the private sector are getting, but we are still here. So, IIT says, okay, we have a name, we will give them opportunities, we will give them a comfortable working environment, we will give them independence of thought, we will let them be as creative with their teaching as possible, and even if we do not give them so much of money, people will come, and that is working. IIT raises our salary, our salaries go up as in when the government raises the salaries of other employees, but we do not. So, you know, but our inputs are not tied exclusively to the salaries. So, this is what this is. Newer private colleges may decide to give their employees a higher range of salary till they establish a reputation. So, in order to attract newer qualified employees, new institutes of higher education, new universities will say, oh, we will give you so much money, so much salary, so many benefits, we will give you a house, we will give you a driver, we will give you a car, we will do this, we will do that, fine. But once their reputation starts being stabilized, because money attracts a lot of people. So, once their reputation is stabilized, then they will say, okay, now we can start investing in improving the quality of the work our employees do, and we may not increase their salaries so much, but we will enhance the quality of life that they have on campus. Monetary versus non-monetary awards. Will the compensation plan emphasize motivating employees through monetary rewards like pay and stock options, or will it stress non-monetary rewards such as interesting work and job security? Very important, very close to my heart. At IIT and institutes of higher education like the IIMs and possibly IISc also, I've experienced IIM and I've experienced IIT, and I'm telling you that, I mean, it's amazing how great the work environment here is, because even though there is very little monetary award associated with certain things, if at all, but the non-monetary rewards in terms of freedom of thought, opportunity, opportunities to grow, opportunities to learn from our mistakes are so many that we say east or west, IIT is the best. That's or my institute is the best, because we have so many non-monetary rewards coming our way. We have a fantastic campus, we have such camaraderie between ourselves. We say wherever I go, this is my family, this is where I'll come back to. I'll teach in another college for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, but I'll still come back to my home, which is IIT. Why? Because of these non-monetary rewards. In some other organizations, they'll say you do X, you'll get this much money, so you keep doing X and Y and you stay with the organization because it's bringing you so much of money. Okay, so the interesting work that we have, I'm an academician because I like learning every day. I will not call myself an expert ever. I'm always going to be a student, and it's that learning that keeps me going. So whatever is of value to you will need to be decided by the organization. In a lot of institutes of higher education that promote research, it's this need to learn, this craving that people who join that organization have to learn and to contribute to the knowledge base, that keeps them growing. So as long as you give those opportunities to them, they'll be happy. Okay, so you have to decide what your organization does and what the employees coming in will want to do. Okay. Open versus secret pay. Will the employees have access to information about other workers' compensation levels and how compensation decisions are made, or will this knowledge be withheld from employees? We are a government organization. We are subject to the right to information. Our salaries are publicly available. What we earn is publicly available through public records. There's no hiding. But I've heard in certain private organizations, your salaries are not disclosed to anyone. We have nothing to hide. Single source of income, get the salary, and it's up. Anyone, any public, any person can ask the organization what our salary scales are, and the organization is bound by law to tell them. So you have to decide whether the law permits you to keep your salaries secret. Should the employees know? Now, if you are compensating people for exceptional performance, it would help if you defined what exceptional performance was, if you want people to know what the other person is earning. I can't suggest anything to you. If on the other hand, people know what the others are doing, but they don't know why somebody's salary is higher than theirs, that could result in a lot of discomfort and discontent among employees, and that could be detrimental to the progress, to the productivity of the organization. So it's very important to tell people or to share the information on specific information on how to go to the next level of earning more money or getting more benefits or whatever, and then of course this open pay system can work. Okay. Centralization versus decentralization of pay decisions. Who makes the pay decisions? Are they made in a tightly controlled central location, or will they be delegated to managers of the firm's units? Again, for contractual work, if I want to take on a research assistant for one of my research projects, I have been given the authority to make that decision based on, and my organization trusts me that I will make the right decision and compensate somebody adequately for the work they put in for my research project. There is a bare minimum that we have to adhere to, but if somebody deserves more than that, up to a certain limit, we can compensate them. But decisions any higher than that are made by a central organization. In our case, they are made by the government. Okay, so which pay bracket to put somebody into is the decision of the organization, but the pay brackets are decided by the central government, by experts in the central government. So your organization has to decide where, how it wants to do certain things, and these decisions will in turn determine how your compensation plan, how the compensation plan for your organization develops. Very, very important to keep each of these factors in mind while determining your compensation plan. Two models that we will talk about that can be used to ensure equity of compensation. One is called the distributive justice model. Okay. Now, according to this model, we exchange our contributions or input to the firm for a set of outcomes. I put in X amount of work, I should get Y amount of pay. Okay, that is my own internal individual equity. I should get fair pay. If I am doing this much of work, I should get this much of money for it, or these many benefits, or this much compensation for it. That is my sense of fairness. We are constantly also comparing ourselves with others within our organization who come with the same set of skills we do, and create or do the same kind of work we do. So, we will say, okay, so and so is getting this much money, why am I not getting it? So and so is getting this benefit, why not me? That is one thing that is constantly happening. And the other thing that is constantly happening is I am constantly comparing myself to forces outside my organization. So and so is in another organization, like I just told you, is getting this much money for this much of effort put in, this much of skill, these many challenges, these many days of work. I should also get at least that much money, or more if possible. All of us want more money, and we want to sort of enhance our get the maximum benefit that we can by putting in the required amount of work that we can put in. So, we all try and compare ourselves and find out what is going on around us. Okay. Employees will think that they are fairly paid when the ration, or it should be ratio, it should not be ration, it should be ratio of their inputs and outputs is equivalent to that of other employees whose job demands are similar to their own. So, it should be ratio. I am sorry for the spelling mistake here, and I will correct it as we go along. Okay. There we go. So, employees will think that once we feel that we are getting paid fairly if the amount of input and output are a certain ratio. Okay. And this ratio compares with people who have the same kind of work that we do. Now, the other model that we can use, this is called the distributive justice model, where we compare ourselves to others. Labor market model is where the wage for any given occupation is set at a point where the supply of labor equals the demand for labor in the marketplace. So, in economics you have the demand and supply curve. So, let me just draw this for you. Maybe these people can focus the camera on what I am drawing. So, you have yeah. And you have okay. So, okay. So, you have the supply of labor that is going up, people are getting more and more training, and the demand for labor is going down, and this is the point at which these two balance out. Okay. So, the demand for labor, I am sorry, it should be the other way around. Okay. So, as the supply of labor increases, the demand for labor goes down. Okay. And this is the point at which they balance out, and this is the point at which we decide, okay. So, at this point what should the wage be? Anything more, if we have more labor coming in, their wages are likely to come down. If we have less labor coming in from this, at this point, if we do not have enough labor, their wages are likely to go up to a point, and then they are likely to come down. Okay. So, this is the labor market model. Then we have we try and balance the equity. We try and establish both internal and external equity for a firm. When we talk about compensation plans, we try and establish both internal and external equity for a firm. We try and give the employees a sense of fairness regarding what they are earning and what others in their positions within the same organization and in other organizations are earning, and we give them a sense of fairness. The challenges to this are, one is the overperforming employees or superstars. Think people who do a lot of who do a lot more than they are expected to. The other is underperforming employees or laggards. So, we have people who just sit there, they look busy and take it easy, they are the laggards. What do we do with these people? How do we compensate them? How do we deduct their salaries? Do we throw them out? I mean, but the larger challenge lies in dealing with your superstars. The third challenge is retention of needed expertise without having to raise salary, like I told you, again relates back to the training paradox. I educate my employees, I teach my employees, I invest in their training, and then they leave me and go away. What do I do? So, I have an exercise for you that you can have in class that I will not be evaluating, but it will help you get some sense of where we are going with this. So, the exercise is, it will be nice if you can try and come up with strategies to establish internal and external equity in different types of organizations. Knowledge based organizations versus service industry, service industry versus the manufacturing sector. So, have these discussions and get a feel for where one would balance these things out, where at which point would employees feel comfortable. There is no right or wrong answer, it is the thought process that counts. Okay? So, please try and do this with your peers, with your friends, just discuss this with your friends and see what comes out, and feel free to write to me and I will respond to you if you have any questions. Okay. The other thing that we will talk about today is strategic integration of compensation plans and business plans. We need to strategically integrate our compensation plans with our business plans, like I told you earlier. We need to compensate our employees, we need to give them money, we need to give them incentives, we need to give them benefits. We also need to make sure that we make profits and that employees stay committed enough to stay with us. So, in order to do this, we need to recognize that compensation is going to be a pivotal control and incentive mechanism that can be used flexibly by management to attain business objectives. Compensation is going to help us move towards our strategic objectives, and we need to pay a lot of attention to this. Okay. The other thing is integration of pay systems and business strategy formulation. We should intertwine the two. I won't say business strategy should be dependent on pay systems or the other way around, but they need to be intertwined. How we decide how much money is going to go into the different stages of our business. When we talk about our business, we need to know what stage our business is at, and we talked about this when we were talking about training. When the business is just being set up, you need entrepreneurs, you need risk takers, you may need to invest a lot of money in experimentation. When the business stabilizes a little bit, when it becomes mature, a larger amount of money will go into maintenance. And when the business is on a decline, then again you will have to invest a large amount of money in reviving the business and bringing it up to speed with its competitors. So, and how do you find people who can do that? What do you need to give them? What will drive them? You need to figure out those things. So, maybe when a business, when you're just setting up a business, the compensation plans could involve programs that help the employees think. So, you may need to spend a lot of money on training and development. Training and of employees, and research and development. When you're just setting up the organization, you get in people who are independent thinkers. Don't impose too many restrictions on them, and give them a chance to think independently, and give them a lot of money to explore their options. Maybe invest more money in the training benefits, for example. Let them go and get some extra education, call people over. So all of those things can be, I mean, so I'm just giving you an example of how you can integrate these things. When your organization is at a stable, mature stage, maybe you need to spend money, you need to keep these people who have taken it to that stage. So you can give them vacations and benefits, and give them enough money, compensate them enough so that they keep contributing as much as they have been to keep the organization where it is and help it grow at a steady pace. But I mean, so you need senior employees, so you need to find out what they want. Maybe have a school, maybe have school benefits, maybe have health benefits, so they don't go away. Okay, so I mean, all of these things are very complex. You need to keep the age of employees in mind, you need to keep their life stage in mind, you need to keep their needs in mind, you need to keep so many things in mind. Okay, the next is integration of pay considerations into strategic decision making processes. So how do you compensate your employees, and how much money do you give, and how do you strategize with this with the decision making processes is something that you really need to take care of. The next one is viewing the organization's performance as the ultimate criterion of success of strategic pay decisions and operational compensation programs. At the end of the day, it's all about making money. At the end of the day, it's all about profits. Okay, those profits could be, I mean, we all need money to survive, the organization needs money to survive. So at the end of the day, it's all about profits, it's all about strategizing, and we need to calculate our output in terms of the profits we made, the input that went into it, and then maybe revise things according to the feedback we receive from different stages of how we have implemented these programs. So this is how you strategically integrate the compensation plans with your business plans, and just like you evaluate your business plan, you also need to see how these two intertwine and how they feed into each other, how much of impact they are having on each other, and what you get out of them, and how you need to keep them strategically aligned so that you get the maximum amount of benefit from what you do. Okay. Some clarifications when we talk about performance versus membership. Performance, like I told you, is a measure of your output. Membership means the stage that you're at in your organization. So when we talk about performance versus membership related compensation, performance contingent compensation depends on, or it relates to, or it refers to the traditional piece rate plans. Could be based on the piece rate plans are pay based on units produced. So this is the number of things that you make. So this is, here's your money, and you have sales commissions, you have rewards. So in the manufacturing sector, you will say, okay, if you're sitting, depends on the efficiency of your machine, but if your machine produces these many things, this is the amount of money you will get. If your unit produces, say, 500 cars in a month, this is what you will get. And sales commissions, if you bring in these many customers, if you sell our product or service to these many customers, then this is the amount of money you will get. And if you go above and beyond the call of duty and do Y, then this is the amount of money you will get. So that is performance contingent compensation. Membership contingent compensation means that you provide the same or similar wage to every employee in a given job. I'm sorry about the spelling mistake, there should be a space here, sorry, here. As long as the employee achieves at least satisfactory performance. So you have a basic pay, basic salary, people do the bare minimum required. The salary progression occurs by moving up in the organization, not by doing the present job better. You can be a great employee, but you don't get a raise. You only get a promotion when opportunities open up. That is traditionally what happens in typical government organizations. You get your increments every year, and unless you do something drastically wrong, your increment comes in, and then when you move up to the next rank, it really doesn't make a difference whether you've done something good or not. Your salary depends on the rank you're at, and that is called membership contingent compensation. We have job versus individual pay. knowledge based pay or skill based pay refers to the fact that employees are, or the salary that employees are paid on the basis of the jobs they can do or the talents they have that can be successfully applied to a variety of tasks and situations. So that is the job versus or knowledge based pay. Okay, it works best in situations where technology is stable, where the jobs don't change often, so you do a certain kind of work all the time and you do it really well and you get that much money because of the output your skills are contributing to. So that is the job based pay. Your skills become the resource. When we talk about human resources management, the skills that you have become the resource, and these skills in turn result in output which is measurable, which is tangible, and the tangibility of or the quantification of this tangible output is what determines your pay. So this works best in situations where the technology is stable, where you are doing the same thing, where you have, what you're working with, where jobs don't change often, where the job description doesn't change often, where employees do not need to cover for one another frequently, where you do the same job day after day, week after week, month after month, and where much training is required to learn a given job. So maybe you're coding, maybe you're writing, whatever, you're doing something physical, so you learn how to do it and then you keep doing it again and again and again and again. The turnover is relatively low, so you've been in that job for a long period of time. Employees are expected to move up through the ranks over time. Jobs are fairly standardized within the industry. The same kind of work needs to be done, and after the next position opens up, you go up in rank, you learn something new and you keep doing it again and again and again, and then you move up and you do the same thing. So this, in this kind of a setup, this job based pay is more applicable. It works best at that time. Now you'll say, how is this different from what we just discussed earlier, which is the membership contingent compensation. Membership contingent compensation is not related to the output that you have. Even if the demands of your current rank change, you will still get the same pay. Okay. In this case, when we talk about job based pay, if the demands of your, or if the job description changes, then the pay will change. The pay is tied to the job description, and the job description could be identified by the rank that you get or the designation you have. Okay. So in the membership contingent compensation, the rank could change shape. Here the name of the rank remains the same, or the designation remains the same, the job description could change. Here the job description, additional job descriptions could be added. So some difference here. Okay. Individual based pay system works best when the firm has a relatively educated workforce with both the ability and willingness to learn different jobs. So you come with a set of skills and then you learn different things and you move up the ranks. Okay. So you are well educated and you adapt to the situation. That is the individual based pay system. The company's technology and organization structure change frequently. Okay, so that is another place where the individual based pay system works best. Then the employee participation and teamwork are encouraged throughout the organization. The opportunities for upward mobility are limited. You don't have very many opportunities for upward mobility, but you are able to do a lot of things within your current job. Okay. So that is another place where this kind of individual based pay system is very helpful. Then the opportunities to learn new skills are present. So you keep doing whatever you're doing and you do the best you can, but the progression up is not there. It just depends on what you can learn and what you can contribute. The costs of employee turnover and absenteeism in terms of lost production are high. The job is complex, the demands of the job are so high that not many people want to change. People don't, if people are absent, then it has a negative impact on the quality of the output. Individual based pay plans are common in manufacturing environments that rely on continuous process technologies. A factory, you're doing the same thing again and again and again and again. So, that is where this works best. Okay. Some determinants of pay structure and level. Some things that determine how you create a pay structure are: number one, labor market conditions. What is going on in the world around you? How many people are there with the same skill set as you? How many people are there who can do the same thing that you are doing? And what is required by the organization? Legislation. What does the law say? The law will tell you that you cannot, the minimum wage that has to be given to an employee in the manufacturing sector is X. So, the salary you determine for your employees cannot be less than that. That is legislation. Collective bargaining happens all the time. A lot of times students do this. They'll get a certain offer from somewhere, and then they'll take that offer letter, and a lot of them will get together, and they will, if an organization decides to take in students from a particular college or a school, they take all these employees, they give them a certain offer, and they are all so great, they all have a specified very specific skill set, and they'll say, we will not join you till all of us get a salary that is X% higher than what you have offered us. So, it's collective bargaining. All of us will not, we will not come to work till you raise our salaries by this much, and that is called collective bargaining. It is a result of the level of wages. It's also a result of behavior of workers in relevant labor markets. So, we will see what our competitors are doing, and then we will all say, okay, no pilots are coming into work today, let us see what happens. No doctors are coming into work today, let us see what happens. No safai karamcharis are coming to work in Delhi, let us see what happens. Let us all go on strike, let us all try and convince people who are deciding our salaries. So, that is the collective bargaining, managerial attitudes, and an organization's ability to pay. Okay. So, these are all determinants of the pay structure and the level of salary that we give to our employees. Now, that ends this particular lecture. In the next lecture, we will discuss incentive and reward systems. So, thank you very much for listening. Please note down any confusions you may have, and I will continue with this in the next lecture. Thank you.